4 types of difficult people and how to handle them. Hi, everyone. I am Apollonia Ponti. I'm your dating and relationship and life coach. And I'm your coach for you men to really master your dating, relationship, and life skills overall and just maximize your potential in life that I know you can be the best at. And in this video, we are going to talk about basically 4 types of difficult people. This is going to help you in your family relationships and your relationships in general, picking out women if you're single, and having those maybe quote unquote confrontational conversations that actually don't have to be confrontational, and then how to maybe better your relationships in your work as well. And this is something that I've actually put together for you because some of my clients have asked me to do some more personal development and life videos that can help you day in day. So I'm going to get right into it. So the first type I want to talk about is downers, right? So typically we call them the Debbie Downers, someone that always has this negative output in life. Let me explain why sometimes this happens. Someone that has a negative output in life typically has been through some type of trauma or some type of sadness that has happened to their life. I can guarantee you that person has a big story of why they're this person. Also, too, sometimes this can happen to someone that has been bullied their whole life, or has never felt like enough, right? Maybe having to prove themselves to their parents, and is in a depressive state, right? There's a difference between a depressed person and that suffers from depression, but then there's a difference between a person that has a downer constantly, right? And that's probably kind of upset. So behind someone that has a downer, there's anger, but behind anger, there's fear, and behind fear, there's lack. So what we have to do with someone that is a downer, even in a workplace, in a conversation, is we encourage them, right? This is the thing, is we can't be extremely positive because it can actually counter effect the downer person. So what we have to do is just understand, obviously from compassion, that there's a rhyme behind their reason, right? The rhyme is their story behind their reason. And they just haven't chose to see different perspective at this point. So how we're going to deal with someone that is a downer, we're not going to try to change them. Okay. So this one's somebody that always has something negative to say. This is always someone that is typically not thinking outside of the box and thinks inside the box. So I want to give you some techniques on how to talk to someone who is the Debbie Downer, right? To try to lightly encourage them step by step of the way. So one of the things that we are going to do when someone is a downer, we're not going to question their intentions, because when we question their intentions, they feel attacked. And typically a downer feels attacked his whole life. And that's why he or she would have to put up this guard. So what we want to do is just simply ask why they feel like this, right? So what happens is when someone asks us why that we feel a certain way, it makes that person me. So for example, you in the camera ask me, the Debbie Downer, why do you think that's right, Apollonia? Or why do you think she's not a good person? Or why do you think that's a horrible event? So then it gives me the opportunity to react to my own thoughts and think it through, right? So I'm not reactive. Now I have to be responsive in order to give you back a question mark, in order to give you back an explanation. So what happens is with the downer, we start to think. We start to think about it. And our language is, if it becomes a repeat pattern, our language also to the other person can change, because we know when we talk to that person doesn't undermine us, but challenges our thoughts. And this is where we can get into a constructive conversation with someone. It takes time, but it can happen. Number 2. The one-uppers, the show-offs, the people that want to be the center of attention, the spotlights. Sometimes they can even lie. Sometimes they can even try to steal the show from you, right? So for example, I was at an event once, and I remember having this conversation, and this person and me were talking about, business things and online things. And I would ask him so many questions about himself, and he would answer them all, but didn't ask me one question about me. So the moment that I started sharing something about myself, it was like he had to one-up me, right? Like he had to show that he was superior. So sometimes this happens subconsciously and consciously. Doesn't mean this is a definition of how a person always is. Typically, they can do this if they feel like they have to impress you. And so this is also some feedback for you to look at if you do this with women in general. If you feel like, oh my gosh, this woman is the most beautiful woman I've ever had in my life or I've ever went on a date with, then we start putting a lot of pressure on ourselves and we can become a little bit of this person. So just be careful. And it's off-putting to women when it comes to attraction. So we just got to be aware of our thoughts. And if we're listening, and I actually have a communication, how to talk to women and get how to talk to people or how to talk to women and continue to have a conversation going, that I'm going to put here in the description box below, that I want you to watch next, because I give you strategic ways to not do this. And when we go into people pleasing, or when we're trying to be this person with the spotlight, we could just say, excuse me, is either we feel like they're more superior than us, or they have to impress them. So the way that we are going to talk to someone like this is we identify, right? So since they like to talk so much about themselves, we identify. So for example, let's say I'm in the position, I'm the one that's trying to outdo you, and we're having a conversation, and I say, yeah, and the camping thing that I did last week was amazing, blah, blah, blah. Oh, wow, you went camping. Now I'm you. Oh, wow, you went camping. I went camping at XYZ. Have you ever been to XYZ? What do you think about that? Now you are getting into something relatable and getting them into your circle as well. And you want to stay there with them. So you want to find things that are similar and to bring that down. So hopefully they can come out of the people-pleasing mentality, or the overachiever mentality, I should say. And this is where we want to make sure that we communicate clearly to them, but also try to stay in that bubble with them, so then they don't have to always be the center of attention. So the thing about this is we can't change them. And since we can't change them, all we can do is try to understand why, right? Just because someone wants to one-up us or wants to do something doesn't mean that they're a bad person. It just probably means that they have a lack of attention somewhere in their life, or feel a lack of attention somewhere in their life or in that specific day. So if we just try to understand, and a way to try to understand and show that other person subconsciously is just becoming relatable with them, then the ego kind of can slowly go down. Number 3 on your third type of difficult person is passive. They don't contribute a lot to the conversation, and they are more of the people that are in the background, where you want them to have a conversation with you, but you are someone that is, sometimes you can feel like, oh my gosh, are they okay? They're so quiet. Did I do something wrong? And then you don't know. And sometimes they can be a little introverted at times, or shy. Introverted and shy are two different things though, right? So I want to be clear here. I've actually done a video about that as well. So what we need to do in a people pleaser person, for passive people, so what we need to do is remember that we can look at them as weaklings in a conversation, but typically when someone is passive, they have a low sense of self-esteem, a low sense of confidence, right? So what I would encourage you to do is find 3 things about that person that they enjoy and make them comfortable with those 3 things, right? Let's say the passive person likes ice cream. Let's say that the passive person also likes baseball. And let's say that the other thing that they like is, I don't know, cars, right? So the 3 things, if this is your friend, a relationship partner, whatever, is how we're going to get them to open up is with the 3 things that they enjoy the most. Let's take them out to ice cream. Let's take them to a baseball game. Let's take them to maybe look at some cars, collection vehicles, whatever the case may be, and get them to open up during that time. Typically, someone that is passive fears confrontation and has a lack of self-esteem, and also a lack of confidence. So in order for us to try to connect with this person, they have to feel safe with you. And in order to feel safe with you, they need time, they need patience, they need non-expectations, and also they need someone to understand and just really hear them out. Type of person number 4 is bossy, someone who wants to direct you and tell you what to do. The thing here is we have to remember that there's a difference between someone that is bossy and toxic behaviors, right? Toxic behaviors fall into manipulation, even a really dry, horrible sense of sarcasm, and narcissistic behaviors, manipulation, gaslighting, right? So we have to remember the difference between the two. Someone who is bossy just literally just wants to be the director of everything. And even when you give an opinion, wants to just be able to lead with theirs, right? So one thing that you want to do is remember to divide the differences and make sure that this person doesn't inherit any type of toxic mentalities. And if they do, toxic relationships, toxic mentalities, toxic people, I've done a video about that. I would encourage you to watch it below in the cards. Now, one of the things that we need to do in regards to handling this person is the bossy person is not going to do well with you being confrontational with them in front of everybody else or in other people. This is someone that you want to actually get a little bit stern with and set boundaries with. Now, the passive and the bossy person don't really go hand in hand together, because the passive person is going to have a hard time placing boundaries with the bossy person. So it's really important that we understand if this is a person that's in our life, we have to place boundaries. And a bossy person, if they are bossy, comes from a natural intent, and typically they sometimes don't even know that they're doing it. So setting them aside, having a conversation with them that sounds like, I feel like you say this and you do this because of XYZ. And it gives them the opportunity to not get into defensive mode, because you're not attacking them. You're not saying you do this and it makes me feel. It's not you and I. It's I feel, right? I hear, I feel, I hear, I see. Sentences that start with this, and then get their idea of why they do something. And then this is when you're going to say, like, moving forward, when you say XYZ, when you do XYZ, it makes me feel this certain way. So can we come to some compromise and make sure that this doesn't happen again? And this is the way that you're going to handle the communication. Bossy people are the ones that you need to communicate the most with, but in a safe territory so they don't feel like they're being attacked. The reason why people typically are bossy is because they try to protect themselves from not being attacked. If you like today's video and want more of these types of video, please comment below suggestions as well. As always, I will see you again in the next one. And remember, you are always loved. Bye for now.